scrub.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Political Theater, everybody. Thank you guys for joining me here on Monday. It's been a very interesting weekend. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Actually, got anything accomplished. I was very busy this weekend, but I managed to actually get quite a few things accomplished. But we've got a whole lot to talk about. It was a very interesting weekend. And what we really need to talk about this evening are the absolutely suicidal empathy of the left. That we just have to talk about it because there's a story that came out about that. We're also going to talk about the selection of the next supreme leader, which is just as entertaining as you can possibly imagine it to be. I even heard that there was a new selection that was made just a few minutes ago. So we'll talk about all of that stuff and more. We also need to go over Mamdami's response to the events in New York City. And how he believes that essentially white supremacy is a far bigger threat than people literally throwing bombs at protesters. So, that's a problem. So we're going to talk about all that and a whole lot more. So, guys, make sure you guys share the space out if you guys are joining us on X, if you guys are joining us on Rumble, YouTube, wherever you guys may be tuning into the show this evening. If you're on Substack, make sure you guys follow the channel. Make sure you guys share the channel out. Let people know that we are indeed live. There's going to be a couple of interesting things coming up here. I'm going to be announcing a pretty big announcement here in a couple of days. So keep an eye out for that. There's something that I've been working on for a while now that's about to come out. So I'm going to be working on that here very shortly. So keep an eye on the channel and keep an eye on Substack especially. So we'll be able to talk about that here in just a couple of days. But we need to talk, obviously, first. We've got to go over the absolutely astounding results of the suicidal empathy in the left in New York City. I don't know if you guys saw this story, but I hope you did. I'm going to put this up on the screen. This is a guy that is unfortunately named Walter as well. But this is Walter Masterson or something like that. And he's apparently a comedian from New York City. And I'm going to have to play this video for you. And then we're going to have to talk about it afterwards because this is just remarkable. I mean, I don't really know how else to explain this. You just have to watch it. So I'm going to put this up on the screen. We can watch this video, real short video. It's only about 17 seconds long, but just go ahead and watch this, and then we're going to talk about it for a minute here.
We were born and raised in New York, and we want everyone here to stay in New York. You don't get to come from outside and then tell everyone
else. So this is the event in New York City, if you didn't see it, where apparently some insane radical Muslim threw a bomb that didn't actually explode, fortunately. It didn't actually explode, but it did go right over top of this guy's head. And it completely exploded. Like, this guy's just standing there like an idiot. He's standing there like an idiot as it goes over top of his head. But the worst part about that is not even that this happened to this guy. It is his response to it. Now, what would your response be if you're protesting and someone throws a nail bomb over top of your head, and you're supposed to be protesting on his side, by the way, and a nail bomb goes over top of this guy's head? What should your response be? What does basic survival instinct show? Maybe that guy doesn't need to be here. Maybe. I don't know. It's just a thought. If the guy who just threw the bomb over your shoulder, probably don't keep him in the country. That might be a good idea. But no. We can't do that. So the next comment from him, and I'm going to put this up on the screen as well, is, and I stand by it, as a born and raised New Yorker, everybody is welcome, except Chief Goat Fucker Jake Lang. Now, that is referring to Jake Lang, who was there doing the counter-protesting. And, everybody who has any familiarity with Jake Lang at all knows that he is very provocative, I would say. But the problem with this is that he then continues. He doesn't just go after that. He then continues. He makes fun of Jake Lang again. But the best part is the final photo in his thread here. And I cannot stress this enough. With a photo of the bomb that didn't go off, I cannot stress this enough. It was right near our feet. It did not look real. We just stood there laughing. Meanwhile, the incel femoids ran away having been totally jester-mogged. Their cortisol levels have yet to recover. So, this guy is such a moron that he didn't even try to retreat from the bomb that was thrown over top of his forehead. And he not only says that, but he also says, no, it's okay. It's okay. I want all of these people here. These people have zero concept that this should have been a wake-up call for this guy. It should have been. It really, really should have been. The dude shouted Allahu Akbar and threw a bomb over top of his shoulder. And he's like, yeah, but they can stay. I don't like Jake Lang. He's mean. Oh, my God. What are these people doing? These people are toast. If we ever have some major event, this guy is the last person you want anywhere near you. If you've got some sort of major event that's happening in the world and there's survival instincts and it's all every man for himself, Walter Masterson is fucked. This guy is dead. So don't go anywhere near him. I mean, this guy's toast. He won't last 15 minutes. He'll walk up to the first person that's, holding a scimitar in his hand, and he'll ask him if he can help him with anything as he gets hacked to death. There's a really old joke. I don't know if you guys ever heard this before. It's a joke that was on. If you guys ever listened to there many years ago, there was a morning talk show called the John Boy and Billy Show. It was something that would show up on the East Coast of Virginia, and it was a great show, very funny show, very funny guys. I think it actually might still be on, to be honest with you. It was very popular, but there was a great joke one morning that was told on that show, and it's worth repeating here because it was. Can you imagine if you're standing there, and there's two types of people in this world? There's actually three, but the two for this one, it makes sense. So the two people in this world, you've got a super leftist progressive that's standing there, and he is an expert marksman. He is a perfect marksman. He is somebody that has trained in shotguns his entire life, but he is a ultra-liberal progressive Marxist. In front of him, there's a man covered in blood, wielding a knife and running at them. He has a gun on him. Now, as a progressive, instead of just shooting this guy dead because he's a very, very good progressive, he's a very, very good marksman, he stops and he thinks all about the life experience of this guy, whether or not it's okay for him to shoot him if he's just too oppressed to save his family that's with him. No, I don't know. Maybe this guy, what if I shoot him, maybe I can just kind of lean over top of my family and he can stab me and they can run away. That's the progressive liberal mindset. And this guy could be this guy. I mean, this is a perfect example of that. And the joke follows with that, though, because then there's the opposite response, which is, what does the conservative Southerner say when this guy comes running at them and he's holding a gun, he's an expert shot? Bang. That's it. There's no question. And there's your Southern Baptist, it's bang, 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 bang until you run out. So, I mean, this is the left, though. They have no concept whatsoever of what to do in a survival situation, especially when there's some lunatic that just threw a bomb over top of his shoulder. And by the way, there's more updates on this, by the way. Mary Margaret Olahan from Daily Wire, I believe, got a hold of the indictment on this. These guys intended to carry out an attack that was worse than the Boston bombing. That's what they said. They say they did it for ISIS. They pledge allegiance to ISIS. These are the people that the left are saying, oh, yeah, no, keep them here. Are you insane? I just don't know what these people are doing. These people are hopeless. There's no saving people like this. The left, someone posted earlier, and I was reading and laughing about it. They said, the left is essentially the people that say, let's jump off the cliff together. And I said, no, it's far worse than that. It's that they not only want you to jump off the cliff together, it's that when you hit the ground, you're supposed to apologize to the ground because you stole it. So you can't even jump off the ground normally. You can't jump from a cliff and land somewhere. You've got to jump somewhere that you just keep falling forever or something because you can't, for God forbid, you land on the stolen land at the bottom of there. It's amazing, though. But that's what these people are. They have no concept. What if this had gone off? Do you think that would have changed his mind? Do you think it would have if it actually had gone off and hurt a bunch of people or hurt him? Do you think he would have changed his mind? Or are these people so deluded that they don't even have any concept that this is a serious threat to them? Maybe not. I have no idea. But of course, our wonderful Mamdani, which is the Zorhan, as I like to call him, the communist mayor of New York City, he was quick to have an answer to this. He had a great statement that just made so much sense. You know, he obviously knew that this was a major event in New York City, so he had a perfect response to it. And the perfect response to it was condemning white supremacy. I'll pull it up here so you can see his wonderful Zorhan response here. He said he was condemning white supremacy and he doesn't even talk about the fact that there was a guy that was shouting. Here we go. Here's the full statement here from Zorhan. So yesterday, white supremacist Jake Lang organized a protest outside of Gracie Mansion rooted in bigotry and racism. Such hate has no place in New York City, and it's an affront to our city's values and unities and defines who we are. What followed was even more disturbing. Violence and protest is never acceptable. The attempt to use an explosive device to hurt others is not only criminal, but it's the antithesis of who we are. So why didn't you open with dude nearly throws bomb into crowd? Just seriously. I mean, if you're starting a statement out about a terrorist attack that nearly took place in your city as you are the mayor, wouldn't you lead with that? No, not the Zorhan. The great Zorhan Mamdani here, this moron leads with white supremacy is the greatest affront to all of mankind. So if you lead logically, what this means is that he believes that white supremacy is a significantly greater threat to his city than the dude who just threw a bomb over someone's shoulder. More suicidal empathy. That's what this is. This is insanity. Gad Saad, if you guys know who Gad Saad is, his book talking about suicidal empathy, the man has never been proven more right than anybody on the planet at this point. The West is going to kill itself before it actually makes it anywhere because of idiots like this. Just like Walter Masterson, Zorhan Mamdani, these people all think the exact same thing. They believe that they are the problem, that nothing that we've ever done is okay, and that we should just need to bring everybody here because their cultures are so much better than our culture because we just stole all of our culture. We don't really have a culture. We culturally appropriate everything. We're not even real people. Fucking idiots. These people are going to get themselves killed. That's what's going to happen as a result of this. I mean, I wonder. You know, Zorhan said he was going to bring fast and free buses to New York City. Do you think his social workers could get there in time on his fast and free buses? Do you think his social workers could make it to the scene of the bombing? Do you think they'd be helpful then? Maybe his fast and free buses could get them on time. I don't know. What do you guys think? To me, I don't know what is going to happen with these cities. All of these cities that are run by these deranged progressive morons. Can you imagine trying to be a cop that is actually supposed to be in charge of this? Now, by the way, the NYPD officers that were on scene for this, those are heroes. Okay, one of the guys jumped over top of the barrier and went chasing after him, even though he had just lit a bomb in his hand. So, you got to give it to the NYPD. They actually did their job. And the NYPD does do their job. That the Zorhan definitely doesn't help. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff from the Zorhan. And even more amazing stuff from the guy who actually had a guy throw a bomb over his shoulder screaming Allahu Akbar and then essentially said, yeah, but I like him. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I don't even know how to continue from that. How do you come back from that? How do you fix that? Who knows? Amazing, though. That's where we are. That's where we are as a country. The left is so deluded that they would rather keep the killers here than actually fix the problem. And they don't seem to have any concept of it. I mean, this guy, everybody in the world could have told this guy that that's insane that you just experienced that and had no reaction to it. But that's irrelevant to him. He is a progressive liberal. He is of a high society. He understands things better than you do. And you lowly peasant that doesn't want to get blown up by Muslim terrorists, what's wrong with you? That's really what these people are. It's an unbelievable thing. It really is. Anyway, guys, we're going to get into the rest of the show for this evening, but I would avoid any single person that is so stupid that they don't have any reaction to someone throwing a bomb over their shoulder. I just give it is a general reaction. Please just avoid anybody like that. You'll never make it if you try to keep up with these people. All right, let's move on to some rest of the show here, guys. If you'd like to come up here and join the show, you're more than welcome to do so now. You can request. If you guys are listening on YouTube, Substack, Rumble, wherever you guys may be tuning in, if you want to join the show, you got to go to x.com, go to @WCDispatch. You can come up and join the show and talk yourself. You're more than welcome to come up, ask questions, or talk about anything else in the news. If you're an idiot, I will make fun of you. Just be aware. Anyway, so we need to move on. There was another story that's worth talking about. There was a flash of light that was seen over top of Tehran just shortly ago. Now, Everyone was confused. They said it was some unusual flash of light. They didn't know what it was. And I had to correct people. It's not true. Okay, we know exactly what that flash of light was. That was us selecting the next Ayatollah. Now, we talked about the Ayatollah last week and how they're running out of Ayatollah, but at least we now get to select them at will. I mean, so there's a new recent flash over top of Tehran, and we selected our newest Ayatollah. Now, I'm sure that we'll be selecting another one very shortly, but at least people are new. I don't want people to be confused. We also need to talk about the oil market that's going on here. This is probably the most volatile I've ever seen. This is incredible. Over the weekend, there was strikes on some of the Iranian oil infrastructure. They were talking about it. They were hitting some of the places around Tehran. They were hitting some of the reserve tanks. And I actually mentioned it. I said, watch, oil is going to skyrocket as a result of this. And of course it did. But the difference is that, Iran in the long run doesn't actually really produce that much oil for the rest of the world. It's essentially just the only reason it's important is because it affects how much China buys from them, because that China is really their biggest customer. And I don't even know who else really Iran sells to in terms of oil. It's not very much. I think it's 80% of their oil goes to China. But even that's not even that big a deal. But of course, the market panicked anyway. Oil shot over $120 a barrel, and now it's already back down to 80 something a barrel. So that was a hysterical move, that just a skyrocket and a fall. Every single trader in the country is just confused beyond all belief. But, the one thing I tell people in this market, whenever Trump is doing something, don't be stupid enough to bet against him winning in it. That's what my comment has always been to everybody. Don't be dumb enough to actually not go with it. There was a great moment a while back where Trump said to people, he said, buy the dip. If you bought that dip when that happened, that was back when the tariff stuff was going on. He actually put a Truth Social post out. He said, buy the dip. If you bought that, you'd be up like 60%. I mean, it's hysterical watching this, but people don't have any understanding of it. They always assume that Trump has no idea what he's doing. So they just assume, oh my God, the market's doing this, and then they all trade against it and they all lose. I'm sure there's a bazillion people today that have no clue what's going on, because over on Saturday, there was people screaming that the futures market, because the line was no longer green. The line turned red for the first time in 6 months. So they all lost their minds. And then it was reversed within a day. So I love watching all of the economist types that every time they stop making money because of Trump, they're all furious. And then when they need to make money again and Trump actually starts making the money again, they're all like, oh my God, he's a genius. Idiots. It's very funny. It's very funny to watch, because they just can't figure it out. They have no idea why Trump actually managed to get things done. The Strait of Hormuz has been very interesting, by the way. It looks to me like the Strait of Hormuz is actually getting ships through it. And what they're doing now is they're turning their transponders off as they go through it. So I'm not sure if that's every ship or what's going on there, but as far as I'm aware, it looks like Trump says he wants to take over the Strait of Hormuz, which is hysterical. I think that's great. I love the idea. It would be the Strait of America. What are they going to say to us? I think that'd be hysterical. Let's go ahead and do that. And we can put, we just do it. I mean, I don't see any problem with it at all. So I think it's a brilliant plan. I think it's something we need to get done. Patriot Forge, are you actually up here on the stage? I can't tell because I see a hand, but I don't know if you're actually on stage. No, doesn't look like it. Okay. Quality Leering Center came up and joined us. All right, hey, were you the one directing these people to buy the oil markets and buy up over the weekend? Because I think they took advice from the Quality Leering Center rather than actually learning anything at all.
Walter, that's true. With these markets, you always know it's the opposite of what everyone thinks is going to happen. Like classic, it pumps and then it goes down. Like that's typical stuff.
Well, how did Ilhan Omar perform in this market? I mean, I assume that she knows everything about this market because, she's got a direct line to the Ayatollah, whichever one that is at this time. But
I mean, at this point, Walter, we're blocked by almost everybody. Cenk just blocked us. It was his first day at teaching school today. He taught a new course called Sweaty Yelling. And unfortunately, he then blocked me. So if anyone talks to Cenk, tell him he's fired.
Cenk.
Wait. His name is Cenk. I thought his name was Chunk.
Chunky.
Listen. Cenk is one of my favorite people because back when Trump won, he had like a rare moment where he thought that he was going to become irrelevant. So he started talking to people on the conservative side a lot. And it was very funny to watch because he was trying to pretend as if he had been a moderate the whole time. There is nothing moderate about Cenk. I mean, what the hell? I mean, anybody who's ever watched this guy knows that's not true. But that's He was trying to pass it off as if he was somehow a moderate. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen in my life. It was just like, what are you talking about? I watched you scream for 15 minutes about how Trump was a Nazi. I mean, he's a fascist. I mean, I have video of it. I put it out almost immediately as soon as he said that. But he was trying to pivot to being a moderate somehow. I don't know where that came from. That was the dumbest thing ever. My favorite video of him of all time is still the day that Alex Jones confronted him at the DNC, and he showed up with a T-shirt that said rape and had Bill Clinton's face on it. And he put it over top of him and put bunny ears behind him. And there's a great photo of that. It's probably one of the funniest moments that's ever happened on television. It was easily the funniest 5 minutes because eventually Cenk just went ballistic and started trying to fight Alex Jones. That was very entertaining. But that's about the only instance I've ever seen of Cenk that's actually been useful. Outside of that, the guy's a complete and total radical idiot. But he went to try and pivot to be a moderate for 5 minutes. I don't think he's doing it anymore though.
Look, we gave him a shot. We hired him. We fired his ass today. That's it with Cenk. It's crazy because we went from 0 students to almost 30,000 students in 3 months. It's been an unbelievable ride, and I'm fortunate to be the principal.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's at least you actually are helping out this society. I mean, the quality leering is what everybody needs to do. Now, you might need to go set up shop up in New York City because apparently they're not leering good enough up there. Now, I've heard it's very expensive there, but you definitely need to go set up some leering centers in New York City because apparently they can't teach people even to avoid bombs. Now, I would think that is pretty standard. You would think that people have a general understanding of how to avoid bombs being thrown over your shoulder, but apparently not. Apparently, these people are stupid enough they stand and take photos of it and laugh because it doesn't look real. So these people are incredible. Okay, Angel,
Walter? I actually got my start in New York, but I went down south because there was too much fecal matter on the floor. Anyway, guys, thanks so much.
Thanks for coming up here, Quality Leering Center. What's up, Angel?
Well, I wanted to ask, first off, Quality Leering, I love everything that you do. I just wanted to sign up for your virtual autism class if you have any openings.
Virtual autism.
Thank you so much. Amazing. I'll pay whatever the government gives me. But Walter, wasn't the Young Turks like a movement, like historically, for kind of like murdering people? I think they were like a murderous movement. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That I don't know anything about. I mean, I don't think so. As far as I'm aware, the only thing that Cenk murders is the pizzas that are delivered to his house every day. I mean, I don't know. I don't have any inside information.
The onion hat people.
No, I don't know.
The old Turks.
The old Turks?
Yeah,
the old Turks, not the young Turks, but the old ones. Listen, I don't have any idea. I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest with you, so I'm not sure that I can speak to it.
Well, Angel, you have to remember these are no longer the Young Turks. These are the Young Turks.
Yeah, the Young Turks. The Young Turks were in Turkey, obviously, and they were a big part of the genocide against.
Oh, okay. They were part of the Armenian genocide peoples. Wait, he named his frickin' show after that? What an idiot!
Yes, he's very tasteful.
He sure did.
Wow. Well, it gives me a whole new read on that. That's wonderful. What a wonderful person. But he's moderate, everybody. Didn't you hear? Oh my goodness, unbelievable.
Yeah, remember when Jamal Bowman was in Congress and he started yelling at Thomas Massey over about this whole gun debate?
Well, listen. The only problem, Jamal Bowman has a serious issue because he can't even read a fire alarm. So I'm not too worried about what Jamal Bowman's up to because he can't even figure out how fire alarms work. So fortunately, we don't have to listen to Jamal Bowman anymore.
But then the thing about it is that Cenk posts the video and he says, more of this.
Oh, my God. Moron. Okay, anyway, I need to move on here. I want to talk to the chief. Chief, do you saw this incident in New York City? I'm curious what's your take on the inability for the liberal morons to run away from the possible explosive on the ground. I don't know how this managed to happen, but I just find it unbelievable that it even happened in the first place.
Well, we got to start with the mayor, okay? So when somebody throws what looks like to be an improvised device and yells Allah Akbar, they are a terrorist, and they're probably an Islamic terrorist. So we got to start with the mayor. We got to teach him this is what an Islamic terrorist looks like. Even though you don't want to talk about it, that's what it looks like. But I will say, we have to get people back in the mindset. After 9/11, we were in a mindset, and we've lost that. I did a video on it. The two likely attack scenarios are active shooter and small improvised explosive devices. And people just aren't in that mindset. The things that would be targeted would be large groups, like we saw there, a large group, iconic locations, the Gracie Mansion. And the only ones seemed to react were the cops who chased them down, obviously, and caught them. But yeah, we are not in the mindset that we're under a threat. After the Austin attack, after this attack, people need to wake up. They need to be alert. They need to react
Well, I agree with you. The
appropriately.
problem that we have is that the New York Times is possibly the most dishonest and disgusting organization that's ever existed. So, for those who missed this, I guess I'll have to put this up on the screen as well. There was a great headline that showed up as a result of that. And this is let me read these to you because I know I shared it at some point. The headline from the New York Times, just unbelievable here. So, here you go. So, here's the original headline. You're going to love this. So, the original headline: smoking jars of metal and fuses thrown at protest near mayor's house. That is the first headline that the New York Times ran about the terrorist attack in New York City. Now, the updated version, which is the one that they changed after the fact that they ran the original. So, this is a very typical response, by the way. Very typical response of these major legacy newspapers is they run a terrible headline first, and then they update it later because everyone reads the updates, right? Everyone saw the update that they did, the title change. Yeah, I'm sure they did. Everyone read that one. So the updated version of this is homemade bomb thrown at protest near New York City mayor's house, police say. Now, let me ask you a question. What the hell is a smoking jars of metal and fuses? Has anyone ever heard that description before for anything? I mean, really? What? Is it? It's just a smoking jar with fuses in it. It sounds a whole lot like a bomb to me, doesn't it? I mean, just what the hell? This is why we have such a problem. How can you expect people to wake up if a major newspaper puts out something as ridiculous as this? I mean, I know it's a new low, and I don't expect very much from the fake newspaper that is the New York Times, the former newspaper. But at the same time, I mean, come on. I mean, like, what the hell? It's got to be the most absurd thing ever at this point. I mean, it's just, what the hell are you doing? You've got a serious threat, and you put out terrible information. Just anything you can do to downplay it. And I didn't even watch to go and read the new version of it. I wonder if they include that he said Allahu Akbar. I would bet almost anything that they didn't include that in the article. I bet you they didn't. I haven't read it. I haven't read it yet, but I almost can guarantee you that they did not include that. Because God forbid you actually say that Muslim terrorists are Muslim terrorists. My Lord, that could offend the poor Muslims that are trying to explode people. What is Norm Macdonald's old joke? Nuclear holocaust tomorrow, but think about all the poor Muslims.
Yeah, it was like he said that 1 million Muslims could die tomorrow. Like Muslims could cause a nuclear explosion that killed millions of people, but he says the real threat to the real problem would be
And the blowback on the
Islamophobia.
peaceful Muslims. Yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
That's correct. Anyway, go ahead, Chief. I know you're talking. I know you can speak to this.
There's another wrinkle to this. I mean, okay, so the goal is to create fear with terrorist attacks. So they don't even have to be a real device. They just need to look like a bomb. And so, the New York Times could have just said a device looking to be an explosives, and if it proved to be, a dud, okay, and just designed to create fear, okay. But they degraded it. I mean, but I did hear the defense attorney is surveying the New York Times to see if they can get some of those reporters on the jury for these guys, so they can get them off. But I don't understand. I remember talking to a guy in Chicago, and they had some problems there, and I said, well, what's the media like? He goes, well, they all live in the city, so they're kind of tired of the crime too. I don't get it. Do these New York Times reporters write from somewhere else? Do they understand that their city is iconic and would be targeted? I don't get it. And but you know what? We have to be spreading the word. People need to wake up. We need to fund DHS, which is crazy to me that we're in a conflict with Iran. We know that we have cells in the United States. We have these lone wolves like we've seen in Austin, or these folks in New York that are willing to radicalize themselves and do something, and we're not gonna fund DHS. It's lunacy to me. So I guess some of the New York Times people actually are in the Democratic Party too, I guess. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, well, and it really is unbelievable to me that we can't seem to have any reaction that would make sense from our mayor here. I mean, calling out white supremacy, I'm sure that's really going to help the Muslims that are throwing bombs at people. But but the other problem is that now this is part of what they're doing right now. They're trying to instill the fear into everybody else. They're also trying to freak people out. I mean, there was the story over the weekend that I don't know if you guys saw this. The Kansas City, there was a story about a guy in Kansas City. They had to shut the whole airport down. And I kid you not, the reason that happened is because some dude walked into the bathroom and said, "I'm fixing to blow this stuff up." Guys, I mean, come on. That's not a joke, by the way. He said, "I'm fixing to blow it up." That's what he said when he went to go sit in the bathroom at the airport, and apparently they called the police. So that's ridiculous. But that's a true story. So I mean, people are a little bit on edge right now, I'd say.
Did you see the guy in the plane that was saying he was going to blow the plane up and Allah Akbar and all that stuff? And God loved the passengers. They got up and tackled that guy. So I forget what flight it was, but we had two of them like that over the last few days as well. So people just got to be alert, and you got to stick up for yourself and defend yourself. Here's the thing. I would love to be, if I was working right around the corner when it happens, and that's not going to happen. 59 seconds for the Austin police to get to that guy and take him out, and still he killed two people. So you have to be
Yeah.
Yeah, three. Yeah, okay. Someone died later. Yeah, you have to be ready to take care of yourself. You have to have a plan. You have to think things out. What am I going to do? It's called visualization in sports. You visualize what you're going to do when you're in a difficult situation. You have to think about that. That's just the reality of where we're at today, whether it's crime or terrorism.
Well, and unfortunately, this is all.
Walter, was that true?
What?
Was the airport story real? Like, come
Yes.
on, that's why I had to jump in here. There's no way.
No, that's true. No, I've got the article talking about it, and they said that the locals in the bathroom reported that the man said he walked into the bathroom and sat down on the toilet and said, "I'm fixing to blow it up. Y'all might want to get out." This is real. No, these are the morons, dude. Okay, these are the idiots of the world. Yes, no, this is real. So anyway, but going back to what Chief just said, no, you were right. We need to actually get people in the mindset of it to actually pay attention. But we've got people that don't even seem to have any concept of this. This is all caused by the disastrous immigration policies that let in millions of people that we didn't vet. Just the fact that we even have to I love this. This is another argument that I'm hearing from the left right now, and I can't believe it's even an argument. I keep hearing people say, "Well, we're bombing Iran. What if they activate the sleeper cells?" Like, hold on a minute here. If they have sleeper cells here, why wouldn't we be killing more of them? Just seriously. I mean, what is your argument here? Well, we can't attack them. Their sleeper cells might attack. Look, they've got sleeper cells. Kill more of them. Are you joking? There's not a real other answer than that. I mean, this is the dumbest statement I've ever heard in my life. You admit that they are our enemy to the point that they have sleeper cells here to attack American citizens, yet you don't think we should be aggressive towards them? I don't understand. This is more of the absolute suicidal empathy. I just don't it's so permeated throughout their entire infrastructure, their entire way of thinking. They have no testosterone left. I think that's the biggest problem. They have zero testosterone left in their bodies. They have made sure that they only consume soy lattes for the past 15 years, so that the only thing that is left in their body is some form of soy, hormones from their new transgender drugs. I mean, these people are nuts. What is the matter with you? There is no person that has any ounce of testosterone in their body that says, well, they got sleeper cells here, so we can't attack them. What? I don't know what to do with these people. The lack of testosterone in America is going to be the death of this country. I swear it is. And I don't know how to fix that, because you can't convince these people that, just because they're wimpy little faggots, that we need to actually do something about it. I don't know how you fix it. I really don't. These people are too much for me. I can't deal with it.
The only thing you can do is increase incentives.
Yeah, I know you can increase incentives, but what do you do about all the wimpy, useless idiots that we have currently? I mean, there's a bunch of people out here that we're blowing the hell out of Iran right now. We keep running through Ayatollahs. We just selected one earlier through a nice flash of light, and they keep complaining that, oh my goodness, Trump doesn't know what he's doing. We're losing. There's people that actually believe right now that we're losing the war. There's actually people that believe this. They actually believe that we're losing the war against Iran, that somehow, my favorite, there's a day I saw someone talking about this. They said, last year I told you guys about this story where an American aircraft carrier had to take evasive actions to avoid a missile incoming from the Iranians. And they said, so I looked into what he was talking about, and he was referring to, there was an incident last year where at some point a missile was targeted onto an aircraft or came into the target zone of an aircraft carrier, and the ship captain followed proper protocol and began evasive actions because that's what they're trained to do. And a jet actually rolled off the carrier and fell into the ocean. So I don't know if you guys remember that story, but apparently that was because, oh my word, we took evasive actions because of a missile. Because yeah, that's what you're supposed to do when you get any targeted missile that you have any protocol for. They're supposed to take evasive action. It's like you can actually read about this in the Navy handbook that they publish publicly. It's not like this is some secret. This is what you're supposed to do. I mean, so listening to these people, oh my God, he had to take evasive actions. Like, oh, I hope so. What do you think? They just sit there? What? It's stop the engines. The missile's on the way. What world do these people live in? I don't understand it. I mean, it's not like if they had real missiles that could hit any of our things, any of our any of our aircraft carriers or any of that, they would have already done it. Okay, they would have done it a long time ago. They would have hit it as soon as they possibly could because they think if they hit one of our carriers or something like that, that's going to be the end of American superiority or something. Even though the reality is that our real power comes from the submarines that we have because the submarines can wipe out, countries, like actual countries, the full size of the country. I mean, I guess a carrier can too, but a Trident submarine, one of our nuclear Trident submarines, the ones that actually carry the big missiles on them, those things are designed so they can wipe out entire continents if they needed to. So I'm not really sure I understand the concept of why, any attack on our Navy. Oh my God, that'd be the end of the world. Like, well, I don't really care. But at the same time, they're also upset when we sink the Navy with our really nice submarines. That was another great story that came out over the weekend, that they were very, very upset that we sank an Iranian warship in international waters. Now, we're supposed to be nice to our enemies no matter where they are. We shouldn't sink them. There's a great video, by the way, that shows the Iranian crew of that ship doing a We Hate America parade all across the deck of the ship, and they've got it on video. It's a great video, so you can watch it. And, oh, my God, we hate America. We're going to parade around this. And my comment was, well, you should have learned a lot more swimming and a lot less parading because now you all died because they couldn't swim. So that's part of the problem. And the great thing is listening to all these idiots on the left come out and say, oh, my God, it's an international war crime. Yeah, whatever. Go get your damn UN. See if you can sanction us with that. I mean, this is the dumbest comment in the world. Listening to these people claim that because we sank a warship, so our submarines are supposed to surface and do what? What are we going to take them all on? Take them all the sailors that we just sank? Like, what are we supposed to give them life rafts or something from the submarine? I can't do these people. I can't do that. But I do like that as a result of us doing that, the other warship that was along the way with them, they said, well, we're not going to return to Iran. We're just going to stop in Sri Lanka and we're just going to hang out here for the rest of the war. So they made the right decision. I said that they should sink that one anyway, just for funsies, because I don't care. I don't care where it's at. Sink it anyway. It doesn't matter to me. But according to everybody on the left, oh my God, international law. Oh my Lord, these people. I don't know why they keep bringing up international law as if it matters. International law is not recognized by the United States, by the way, guys. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. We don't care. Okay, international law is meaningless to us. We don't recognize international law. It is not something that the United States respects, cares about, or even pays attention to, because who the hell is going to enforce it? I mean, again, I go back to the Chappelle skit where he's sitting there saying, UN, why don't you sanction me with your army? Oh, wait, you don't have no army. Oh, well, then I'd shut the hell up then. I mean, that's the correct response. I mean, everybody that screams about international law, it's almost always foreigners that just do not understand that the United States is the international law. Okay, the international law is the Tomahawk missile that fired out of the back of the destroyer that just floated by. That's our international law, if you haven't figured it out yet. But, okay, anyway, I need to move on here. Jack, trying to get your hand up. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a joke that the people that are saying these kind of things, like they think, like Trump put out that statement today saying that he's looking to get out of Iran, and you have morons like my favorite author. He wants to say, he responds with taco. Like this is the thinking of people on the left. They just think Trump is chickening out of because he doesn't want boots on the ground and doesn't want to be in Iran for 10 years because they think he's a chicken, even though we destroyed their leadership, their Navy, and their Air Force. But remember, Trump is chicken.
Well, listen, these people have no concept of what's going on here. They say chicken when Trump doesn't do things, and then when Trump does something like this, they're like they freak out. Oh my God, he did it! Like, what are you idiots? I mean, it's just he doesn't pay. I like that Trump's response though. Trump's response is great because Trump's response every time that he's on camera right now is just like, yeah, we keep killing them. They keep dying. I don't know what happens. I mean, oh no. we blew up more of their leadership. It was interesting. They had a bunch of guys that we really liked, and we killed all of them. So, whoops. I mean, Trump is hysterical. He doesn't care at all. I mean, I like this approach that they're using this time a lot better than the old approaches. This approach this time is we're just going to keep blowing them up until someone says, okay, well, we'll do what you say. And I think that's the correct response. And we don't need to worry about moderates or any of that stuff. Just keep blowing them away until eventually someone's going to be like, okay, please don't kill me. And then Trump's going to be like, well, all right, fine. I mean, that's the better way.
He said uncle. He was like, did you see that interview where Trump was like, until they cry uncle?
No, I didn't see that. That's amazing. No, I didn't see that one. Yeah, send me that. I got to see that one.
Yeah.
He said uncle?
Yeah, I don't know if he actually did it, but look, when it comes to the morons like Stephen King, he's got his own problems now that Larry Ellison owns the rights to all of his content. So he's probably just very upset about that.
Well, I mean, you pay a lot of attention to Stephen King. I haven't paid attention to Stephen King ever, actually. And, I don't care about him at all. These people that have all of these different content and all this crap and act as if they're someone important, none of these people have ever said anything interesting ever. Stephen King, the most interesting thing he's ever done is be the strangest dude from the Northeast. That's about all he's ever accomplished in life. And I've gotten about no interest in the strangest dude from the Northeast. I don't really care what he's doing. The last video I saw of him, he looked like he was a zombie straight out of the Walking Dead series. So I'm not very interested in what Stephen King's up to. Okay, go ahead, Angel.
Oh, I was going to respond a while ago to Chief. He said something about the New York Times writers not wanting to preserve their city. No, they're not in New York. They have a lot of writers that are in the UK hub. They actually have a UK hub. They have writers in the Middle East. Everyone, there's so many in DC as well. They don't care about New York at all. New York Times works with OCCRP, that is sponsored by NED, which is USAID. It's really the worst group of journalists ever, in my humble opinion. So yeah,
well, the New York Times, as I said before, is a former newspaper. It is not a newspaper. Okay, I mean, this is what I brought this up before on this show. Okay, the problem I had with the Wall Street Journal is that the Wall Street Journal became the New York Times, and I have no need for two fake newspapers. I already subscribe to one. The only reason the New York Times even stays in business is because they have Wordle. If they didn't have Wordle, no one would ever use them. So their news is so bad that the only people that actually use their app is to play their stupid little games within the app. That's the only reason they stay in business. Without Wordle, New York Times would be completely defunct and no one would read it. So no one reads the New York Times at all.
Walter, don't diss. I love Wordle.
Well, listen to me.
Oh,
See,
no.
you guys are literally talking about the reason the New York Times stays in business is because of Wordle. If they didn't have Wordle, then no one would actually use it. The app is the only reason I use it now, like I said, is that Wall Street Journal became a fake newspaper as well, so I stopped reading them, and I only have the one newspaper now because I don't need two fake newspapers. And the reality is that New York Times font looks better, so I'll just keep the one fake newspaper. I don't need the two. Now, the other side is I'm not sure if I actually canceled my Wall Street Journal subscription because that's something that becomes a consistent issue is that you can't actually cancel it. And then somehow, a month or two from now, I'll still be paying the Wall Street Journal. I've been trying to cancel them for 6 or 7 months, and I'm sure I still am subscribed somehow. All right. Anyway, Chris, you came up here, buddy. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, what's going on? So I got to say, I think what was the over-under on the Ayatollah's son lasting longer than Scaramucci?
Well, I mean, so the problem is that, did you see what I was talking about earlier about the fact that there was a new flash of light? That means we selected a new Ayatollah. So I think that's already happened. So, I think that the every time there's a bright light that kind of flashes over top of Tehran, that is us selecting our next Ayatollah. Now, I don't know if it's kind of like the Pope. The Pope gets white smoke. We just get bright lights. That's what happens when you select a new one for the Ayatollah. I don't know how many Ayatollah they have. They got to be running low at this point. So, they're running quite low on Ayatollah. We'll find out soon if we actually manage to get any more.
Yeah, I feel like they're down to just the little teenagers who operate the drones. They're next in line for the Ayatollah, maybe.
At this point, I'm not joking, guys. Did you guys see this earlier? That the newest guy that they selected as Ayatollah, they at his allegiance ceremony, they called it, they used a cardboard cutout. I'm not joking. It's a real thing. They actually used a cardboard cutout. It was just a framed photo. They didn't bring him there.
Well, a cardboard cutout would be a better leader, honestly. So
maybe it would last longer.
Yeah, I bet it was framed around the fake gold frames. You know what I'm talking about?
Probably.
You see in a lot of the
Probably. I mean, listen to me. I saw it and I was just dying laughing. I was like, "You've got to be joking me." These people are they're bringing their leaders out, and they're just photos of their leaders that they already killed. So, I mean, to be honest, though, I mean, do you really blame these people? Who wants that job right now? That is not a job that anybody is dying to get in line for because they keep dying when they put them in line. So I'm not really sure it's a great position. It's a very temporary position. So it does come with benefits. I mean, I'm sure Supreme Leader looks great on the resume, but I'm not sure it's a position that I would sign up for personally. I think I would just avoid it entirely.
Yeah, it's I think it's certainly not a long-term position. You probably need to get a guaranteed sign-on bonus.
Yeah, well,
I think we should promote like the first gay Ayatollah.
oh, there you go, gay Ayatollah. Well, listen, I mean,
I don't
someone
understand
told
why
me
we
the other
don't
day
just
that that Ayatollah kind of sounds like an Italian dessert, and I kind of agree. I mean, that's why I said the other day we're running out of Ayatollah. I mean, I think that's kind of accurate. So, anyway, but
it sounds more like a type of pasta to me. But what I don't get is why don't we just bring back the Shah?
well, that's what they're trying to do. I mean, that's the Raza Pahlavi is the guy that is the Shah's son. That has been trying to return to Iran forever, which, by the way, we can talk about another story when it comes to Iran. There's actually another story that's reasonably interesting on this, that the Iranian women's soccer team was apparently in Australia, and they are now apparently trying to seek asylum. And now some of the women on that team are apparently saying that they have to go back anyway because they'll kill their families, which, I am waiting to hear how the left tries to spin this as a bad thing. How exactly are they going to do that? How are they going to say that Trump's saving the women from Iran, the women's soccer team from Iran? How are they going to spend that badly? Is it going to be that we didn't? I thought you guys didn't like asylum seekers. Is that what it's going to be? I mean, I am curious to see what the spin is on this ridiculous story. So I'm very interested. I don't know what the over under is. There's got to be a poly market for it already. So I assume that they're going to be condemning asylum seekers soon. Maybe that if Trump manages to get the left to start condemning asylum, that will be the greatest achievement of all time. That might be his coup de grace.
Were condemning asylum when we were saying that we should have white refugees from South Africa take refuge in the country. They were already opposed to that.
Well, I guess
that would be an
that's
awkward
true.
position for liberal lesbian soccer players, though. I mean, do you think Megan Rapinoe supports them in their seeking asylum?
Oh,
Or
yes, I
does she
forgot.
say down with the women's soccer team, up with the Shah?
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry, the Ayatollah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, but Walter, is that a new update? Because I thought yesterday I saw a video where they were claiming the IRGC, the gals had loaded into the bus, and someone had kind of hijacked the bus and was trying to take them. And I'm being completely serious.
No,
and,
I know. There was apparently something that they were being kept under locked guard, but according to Trump's recent statements, the Australian Prime Minister has been on this, and apparently he praised the Australian minister today. So, to be honest with you, I don't know. So I'm pretty sure that I'll go off of Trump's more recent statement saying that he's dealing with it, and some of them are going to get asylum, but some of them are saying that they have to go back, otherwise they'll kill their families. So, it's not necessarily a good thing. Yeah, I don't know exactly the full status of every single person, so I guess we'll find out soon enough. But at least Trump's doing something about it. Yeah, he said he was doing a good job. He said the Australian Prime Minister was handling this properly, so obviously he's in contact with him. We'll see exactly what the update from this is, but I am still waiting to hear what the left spin on it is, because it's going to be hysterical no matter how they play it. So I guess we'll find that out soon.
Well, Walter, you may have already covered this, but it's just something that has been burning in me here real quick, is this notion that we're in year 2 or 3 of the Iran war when it's been 8 days.
Oh yeah,
it's been 8
days. Oh,
no,
we've been over there for 68 years, man. What are you talking about? I mean, we're running out of missiles. This is the never-ending war. I mean, this is the greatest dumb thing this entire week has been like this. Listening to these people, and it started last week. I said, you know what I even said? I said, I bet you it doesn't even really last that long. I bet you it's a week or two. And at first I said it might even be over by Monday. And I was like, yeah, but I give it to the end of the week. And then Trump essentially said today, he said, yeah, well, the Iran war is essentially over. That's what he said earlier today. So, I don't know.
Yeah, well, the reporter was like, so what's the end date? Is it next week, this week? And he looked at her like, it'll be soon, sooner than later. But he's looking at her like, You dumb idiot! It's been 8 days. Like, give me a free. They're over here trying to pretend they're over here, these prognosticators that, let's just be clear, don't have inside into this administration for obvious reasons, are on these spin shows, and they're over here talking about how we're ill prepared for the Iranian drones. You know, how we're running out of defense mechanisms against the drones. You know, that this war has lingered on. The gas prices have skyrocketed and are going to be $5 a barrel going into 2027. And it's like, dude, what are you talking about, dude? The gas prices rose over the weekend, and I'm sure they're getting it handled. But oh wait, Congress could do something too, right? And so, I mean, it's just the most lame thing on the planet.
Listen, they have
Walter,
no concept
did you
of
see
it.
the response to the end of the war comment?
No, I haven't
Like
seen
the
it.
Iranian response, they said the war ends. Like Trump was like, the war is probably going to end pretty soon, and they said the war ends when we decide it ends. And I'm like, who the hell are we, Iran?
Well,
like,
listen.
your
This is the
whole
same.
upper management
I
just
have
got-
the same problem with every time you hear something. When you say Iran's leadership said something, who exactly? I mean, who is making these statements? I mean, the propaganda accounts aren't cutting it, okay? The dead Khamenei accounts, we got a bunch of those. Which I didn't even realize that Khamenei had like 7 accounts, and they're all like they've all got a bunch of followers. And I had no idea that was a thing. Apparently, he's got it in every language or something. So they had to make sure they've got they got ahead of a bunch of dead Khamenei accounts, and they're all posting about how the war is still on. Well, you're dead, so I don't think that counts. But again, my comment is the whole time is like, what leadership? Who are we talking about is making the statement claiming that the war ends when we say it is? Who are you? I mean, there's no one left. They keep killing them. So again, until I actually see a new Ayatollah that arrives, which you never know. I mean, there might be a white flash and we might see another one tonight. But you never, I mean, this is just, it's the dumbest thing in the world. My guess is that Trump's goals were completely obliterate every single thing to do with anything to do with their military infrastructure. And whenever that's done, then Trump's going to say, oh, all right, we're done. We killed you all. So, you know, good luck being strong, proud Iranian soldiers then, because it doesn't seem like it's working out for them so far.
It's actually, so the running the social media accounts, Little Pesa the 13th, on his because he's very anti-American, and with his iPhone 17 that's unlocked, of course. So I mean, like, here's the reality: is the media in the United States has to be honest. They have to be honest. They have to admit that this was a domination like never before, and that there is a plan that's working. And that people who don't even like Trump are saying that you have to trust the plan, like that's because it's clearly working, and they just can't do it. They got Chris Cuomo in Israel. They just to see the truth on the ground. They got all these people out there, and it's just the craziest thing in the world. It's like, dude, just admit that we're knocking heads left and right, and there's a plan that's working, and we're not going to be there for 17 years.
Well, I mean, the problem is that they can't do that, okay? For the love of God, they can't admit that Trump actually might be doing something right. They can't say that. Oh, my Lord, Trump's plan is actually working? You want them to say that out loud? That's never going to happen, dude. They no matter what happens, it's the end of the world. My favorite thing, though, is, again, that because Trump has locked down the entire military infrastructure has no access from these journalists anymore. Okay, that's the biggest change. That's the biggest change out of all of this, is that there is, think about the other Iraq war. Okay, there was, journalists on the deck of every ship. They were out there in the field. There is none of that this time. None. There is no access by the media at all. So they don't have a clue what's happening. So their only thing that they can do, and this is what they've been doing for the entire time, now all 8 days of this, so-called never-ending war, all 8 days of this, they've been doing the same thing. They have essentially been reduced to trying to estimate the logistics of the U.S. military. That's what they're doing. Okay, so every time something happens, they, oh my God, we're going to run out of missiles. Oh my God, the radar's been destroyed. We don't have any radars. My favorite is that this is the dumbest thing that they keep saying. They keep saying that every time we shoot down one of these drones, we use a $4 million missile. No, we don't. Well, who is it that keeps saying that? That is the dumbest thing in the world. No, we don't. Okay, you can even go watch the video from the Qataris using Apache helicopters to shoot down drones. Okay, so we're not using $4 million missiles for every freaking $10,000 drone, people. That is not happening. Okay, that is not happening. We don't need to. Okay, the ballistic missiles are the ones that you actually need to use the deflection missiles for, the ones that actually shoot them out of the sky because they travel at a high speed. You actually need to use real missile deflection for those. Okay, but a drone that is a stupid drone that's a kamikaze that is slow and super loud can be shot down with damn near anything. Okay, you can fly jets around, blow them out of the water. You can blow them up. You don't need to, you can fly helicopters. That's what they're doing. Okay, and there's videos of it at this point. But according to the left, oh my God, every single time they launch one of their tiny little useless drones, that's the end of the planet because we're going to run out of missiles. I mean, they have no concept that this is not actually happening, okay? That they assume that every single thing that we do is because we have to shoot a $10 million missile to take this down. Guys, we've got more than just one type of anti-aircraft. Like, we go look on my feed. You can go see this, okay? In fact, I'll just pull it up so people can see this. Let me show you guys this. I can show you this video because it's actually one of my favorite videos of all time anyway. This is what's called a phalanx, okay? So a phalanx is a system that sits on our aircraft carriers and on all of our boats, okay? So let me pull this up so people can actually see this thing. Here we go. This is what a phalanx is, and this is what a phalanx does. Let me pull it up so you can actually see the video. There you go. So if you guys are watching, if you're just listening, you can go to the actual live version of the show so you can actually see what I'm talking about here. But this is a phalanx, okay? This is what sits on the sides of our boats. So if you think that these stupid drones are getting anywhere damn near our boats, then you just take a look at this, okay? So this is the video here. Yeah, I'm sure everything's getting past that. Thousands of rounds a minute. That's what these things are. So, we also have these things that can set up and be set up on land, on the ground, and they can be set on the back of different vehicles that we have in the military. So if anybody thinks that we're just, we don't have any defense against the drones, like, oh, please, just shut up. It's the dumbest comment in the world. If anybody has any idea anything about our military knows that, we don't have to use the $10 million missile for every single thing that goes into the sky, people. My goodness, it's not that complicated. But according to the left, we're running out. Oh, my goodness. These are so stupid.
Energy weapons for that.
Well, listen, we have things that no one knows about, okay? The military is one of the most... The military is the only institution we have that actually is pretty good at keeping secrets, okay? You guys may remember there was a show many years ago that was called Future Weapons. Do you guys remember that? There was a show called Future Weapons, and it was I think it was on the History Channel, and they had it all. It was talking about the U.S. military, and it was very funny because one day I was sitting there with my cousin who was he was in forward recon for the Army at the time, and he was in Afghanistan, and we were sitting there watching Future Weapons, and they were talking about the Striker. And they were talking, oh my goodness, here comes the Striker. In the next few years, the Striker will be operational and out on the ground. And he was laughing. And he was like, what's the deal? He said, we've been using those since I joined 6 years ago. Oh, okay. So this is something they claimed it isn't even operational yet. No. And we've had it. We've been using it. This is the kind of things that our military does, okay? You just don't hear about it because the military is actually pretty good at keeping secrets. And it's the same thing with Trump's, you remember the F-47 that he talked about that, he swears wasn't named after him? The F-47 is the same sort of deal. I mean, the F-47 is another advanced aircraft that no one's even seen before, and then it's been in development. And Trump said when they started talking about it, he said, oh, yeah, and by the way, this has been in test flights for the past 6 years. Yeah, that's pretty normal. So, it's pretty interesting to watch, to listen to people claim that we have no ability to shoot down drones except with these $10 bazillion missiles. And even better is the people that claim that the Israelis are using a $4 million missile with every single shot from their Iron Dome. That doesn't use $4 million missiles either. They've got a completely different thing that they use for that called a Tamir missile that's like 40 grand, okay? So they're not using $4 million Patriot missiles for every single interception, people. I mean, this is more people that claim they're geopolitical analysts. They know. They're idiots, every single one of them. All right, Chief, you got your hand up. What's up, Chief?
Yeah, I just want to remind people that we're allied, or we're at least helping Ukraine, which is where drone warfare is advancing at Mach speed, and we're learning the lessons that the Ukrainians learn and that the Russians are dealing with. and we're applying that. I mean, you remember that whole El Paso thing? They were testing inexpensive lasers to shoot down drones coming across the Mexican border. I want to applaud a lot of the scientists who are behind our military that are developing this stuff, because they're some of the unsung heroes that we don't really talk about. But yeah, but I want to also want to talk about our military aren't just a bunch of knuckle draggers. They're going to universities, they're learning, they're studying, and they're looking at the latest threats, and they're developing strategies to deal with them. And we're seeing that today. It's awesome, I'm just really proud of our military, but also the folks that are in those defense industries who are making money, but they're also developing excellent technologies that keep our people alive when we do have to use military force.
Well, absolutely. And the other thing is that I always laugh when people claim that we just don't know what we're doing. You know, our military has spent $500 billion being advanced for 70 years. Okay, there's a reason that our military is so much more advanced than anybody else's, and it's because we have spent essentially infinite money on it forever. It's not like it's just like, well, we just started last week, people. This is amazing to me. And for those who don't understand this, by the way, the general security measure that the United States has held since World War II is that we can then fight two major wars on two fronts at all times. That's how the United States military has operated for 70 years. Since World War II ended, that is the way we decided that we wanted to make sure so we could have two front war on either sides of the planet and be able to fight both of those consistently. If you remember, one of the things that Trump said, and this is very funny of Trump, but this is true, when he first started talking about this Iran conflict, one of the first things he said is, well, realistically, this is just a small campaign. That's what he said. He called it a small campaign. He said, this is maybe a month. This is a small campaign. This is nothing to the U.S. military. It just isn't. Okay, and the idea that we need to have some worry that our military isn't doing very well, yeah, I believe it. It looks. Let me know how those Chinese radar detectors are doing. They don't look like they're doing it too great of a job, to be honest with you. So I'm not too concerned, to be honest with you. Their current casualties is 7. So yeah, God bless the family of the 7th person. I don't know. I haven't heard exactly what happened in that scenario yet. I don't know if they've released details, but at the same time, how many casualties does the Iranians have? I mean, who knows? Because, we're not going to find out because we just eviscerate the entire area every time we go in there. So again, yeah, no, Chief, you're right. The U.S. military is filled with some of the best and the brightest in the country and the world. So again, I'm not too concerned about the U.S. military not being able to perform. Okay, I got another person who came up here and joined the stage. What is up, Cos Mike?
Hey, how's it going? Great space. You make a lot of sense. So one thing I wanted to add to the conversation is something I think that maybe has kind of been overlooked a little bit. That's having a significant impact on this particular conflict is the fact that we are probably for the first time ever in a major assault leveraging AI. And I think the AI is really making a huge impact as far as number of people required to do the work and the speed at which they can do these things. I mean, this is how we were able to hit so many targets so quickly with, such little collateral damage. When you really think about it, it's not been that much collateral damage in this situation. I really think that we're going to be ahead of schedule, and people are just not believing what they're seeing. They can't comprehend that we were able to strike so quickly with so much force and be able to, essentially beat the Iranian army. I think that the thing for me that I think that probably needs more focus or discussion is what's going to be the succession plan, or how is the country going to govern itself once this particular war phase is over? Because I think the war phase for the U.S. is actually pretty easy. We've proven time and time again that we could, utterly defeat just about anybody that we come up against. It's more of a political situation after that we have had more trouble with, as far as being able to have the right people in charge in order for that country to be able to succeed after we pull out.
I agree with you.
I want to know if you had any thoughts on that.
I agree with you. I think the biggest problem the United States has is, and even someone like me, I'm pretty hawkish, but the reality is that nobody, even the most hawkish person in the country, has to admit that our track record on regime change is terrible. Okay, it's just terrible. We have never been good at doing this. We've never been good at actually replacing, entire governments. But I will say that the difference is that if anybody's going to figure out how to do this differently, my guess is that Trump's already got some idea of how he's going to do it differently. Okay, that's the one thing I will say is that Trump is a unique person in that he thinks of things completely differently than anybody else. So it's very possible that he has a better idea than just going in there and trying to make everybody super, freedom-loving democracy type thing. Now, there's a bunch of people that will try and convince you that the Iranians, that the Iranian people are actually a secular people, and that the Iranian government needs to be secular. Listen, I am sorry, I don't necessarily subscribe to that whole idea. Okay. They have had radical Muslims running this country for 60 years. Okay, even if there are a lot of people that used to be secular, you're multiple generations away from when that happened. So at this point, I'm not sure I really buy the whole concept that they're going to be very easily switched over to some democracy type concept. But at the same time, I'm not necessarily interested in that. Okay, I'm not necessarily interested in that. All I want is for this to be as successful in that kill them all, blow away their military infrastructure, completely decimate them, make sure they can't attack our people, and remind everybody that if you shoot one single AK-47 bullet at any U.S. troop, that you will be hit with multiple Tomahawk missiles. That's what I think is the correct response. That way people just stop screwing with us, okay? The idea that we had to worry during the Biden administration about fricking the Yemen pirates shooting things at us, okay? The Yemen, the ridiculous Houthis down there in Yemen attacking ships and bothering our shipping lanes, blow them out of the water. Every single freaking one of them, okay? I don't care. Make that section of the desert glass. Make it shine at night, okay? I don't, just kill these people. Just stop dealing with this crap. We shouldn't have to deal with tiny little countries pestering our ships and pestering our people. Just remind people that the U.S. military is actually quite good at killing people. And if you want to try and screw with them, then just kill a whole lot of them and see what they do. Because I think that's a much stronger response than having to sit around and be like, well, we need to negotiate with them and send them pallets of cash. And, this is the most ridiculous thing in the world, okay? Stop negotiating with these people. Just get rid of them, okay? And I think that is exactly what Trump's doing. He's not negotiating with them anymore. He gave them the opportunity to negotiate. They should have. Now they're dead. All of them. Every single one of them. So, like I said, I keep saying, they're running out of Ayatollah.
I agree with that.
You know what's great?
I think that's exactly right, though, because, I think they've been playing this game with us for a very long time, pretending they were pandering or pretending that they're going to agree with us and do things as we ask. But all along, they just do what they want to do and just ignore it. And because, no leader in the Western world really wanted to disrupt that. And they wanted to just, go along with this and, just endure the needling. That they finally met someone that was done with that. So
yeah,
well, that's what I think they understand.
Well, that's exactly what I think is happening here. Okay, I think that the reality is that Trump is just reminding people that if you don't negotiate with him in good faith, that there are consequences to that. Okay, there are very real consequences to that, and it's not going well for anybody so far. That has, we've had our favorite Maduro that was just ripped from his house in the middle of the night, and then we've just completely blown away the entire Iranian IRGC leadership in like a week. So, again, I think that the message has been received by all of our adversaries at this point. I don't think anyone can even deny that.
Yeah, what's so crazy about it, Walter, is when people just take a step back and just think about the past. Let's just do the past 4 years. And the Houthis were over here attacking the Strait of Hormuz, trying to disrupt shipping lanes, and no one wanted to do anything because of the big bad Iran, attacking back, and China would join in, and Russia, and it's World War III, and blah, blah, blah. And then Trump's like, okay, he starts his term. He puts pressure on China the entire 2025. We bag Maduro in a matter of a couple of hours and use weapons that brought all of his protections to the ground, like literally just to their knees and ground where they were bleeding out of their nose and face. And then we go in and we wipe out 4 layers deep of the Iranian regime in 8 days. That's how clown show the previous administration was. And quite frankly, that's kind of how clown show some of these NatSec experts have been, right? Like, these are guys that are being paid tons of money at universities and NGOs and all of these things, all these organizations. They're on the boards of all of these military contractors because of their great minds. And they have said for all of these years, we cannot touch the Iranian regime. They're big, they're bad. China will be in immediately. It'll be World War III. And Trump just goes in and obliterates them in 8 days. And so, I mean, it's actually humiliating to see these people grovel back to the media and try to pretend like we're going to be stuck in a forever war when Trump just in 8 days has proven how fraudulent the intellect of these people are.
Also, the strait that the Houthis are at is Bab el Mandab, not Strait of Hormuz.
But they were attacking the Strait of Hormuz and the shipping routes in the Strait of Hormuz and the proxies from that were all propped by Iran, because these people don't understand. You guys, everybody in here kind of understands this, but all of these proxies in the Middle East are being funded by Iran and China.
Well, I
And
mean,
so
the
they
biggest
have been-
biggest thing that you mentioned here, the most important part, is that the foreign policy morons that have told us for years that the Iranians are some major threat that we'll never be able to deal with appropriately, and we've just got to figure out a way to negotiate, and we have just been proven to be idiots. Okay, and essentially all these people are Obama people, okay? This is Obama's idea. Obama is the one that changed us from being actually focused and seeing Iran as a direct adversary to actually doing this moronic idea that we need to negotiate with terrorists and try to hug a terrorist away. It didn't work out. It wasn't a brilliant plan. And all of those people have now been made to look like complete morons because, again, we just obliterated them in 8 days. So, you know, they have nothing to stand on here. They've got absolutely nothing to stand on here.
They all need to be tarred and feathered and sent on their way.
Well, I mean, what we need to do is fire all of them and get them out of the State Department, because there's a very large percentage of them that are actually still in the State Department. So that's kind of a big problem. Okay, I got another.
And also bring their security clearances away, strip them for life. Because what's happening is when Trump fires these people, and I know this to be the case, Walter. I'm sure you have people who have said this to you, and anybody else on perfect sourcing actually, that these people get fired and then they go over to a private sector contractor that with the same department that gives them the same access to the same people because of their clearance. They are not of value the moment you take away their security clearances and you rip them for life. Like, they are not of value anymore. They have to go into the real world and suffer into the real world that they claim is so tough in the United States of America. And, you know, that has to happen. That is actually what they're doing. They're going to the private sector, telling people, we're going to wait it out. Trump will be done. The Democrats will take control in 2026. And then the Democrats will take control of the White House in 2028. And we'll be right back in the Department of Defense, stripping away on day one everything that's been done.
Yeah, well, again, the entire problem here is that these people just need to we need to get a lot of people out, okay? And actually, I've heard something recently that may be playing into this. I've heard that the Trump administration is finally hiring people for government positions. They're no longer firing people, and I guarantee you what they're doing with this is now that they're bringing people in, they got enough people out that they can start hiring people. So now they're going to start hiring people, and then they're going to fire more people. That's what's going to happen. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. So I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing some major changes within agencies and everywhere else. And you'll start to see some quite heavy turnover, which I think is great. Okay, so I got to go over here some hands. Angel, you got your hand up, and then I got a new person on the show I want to get to. Go ahead, Angel.
Yeah, so there's a lot of aspects to this war that people are not talking about, which is one of them is like the whole debt to China trap. A lot of countries are indebted to China because China will often take on projects in other countries and say that they will help build infrastructure in these countries. And they've done this with Iran, they've done this with Venezuela, with drilling in Venezuela. They've done this in a lot of countries. They did it in Montenegro, and that's what basically makes these countries get stuck in a debt trap. And a lot of Chinese workers are also in these other countries too. If the Chinese workers that are in the other countries have to be sent back to China, and these countries are no longer indebted to China, it not only causes a housing crisis in China, it also causes a crisis, like a financial crisis in China, because they don't get their debt back because it's a different leadership and the contract is pretty much null and void. But also, if we take over their gas, which is Iran and Venezuela, they're going to have a hard time manufacturing also, and they're not going to have a lot of energy for the future. So I'm very curious to see how this pans out and what the next stop is, because there's probably going to be a next one. And what we're basically doing is we're avoiding an all-out war with China. China is the only country that I would, well, Russia too, but I don't want to get stuck in a war with them. We should be grateful that we're in a war with Iran, that is a weak-ass country.
Well, I mean, the deal is that, again, the proxy war aspect of this is something that I think people don't really pay a whole lot of attention to. I mean, Iran is essentially a proxy for our greater adversaries. And for those who don't know this, The United States has never not been in some sort of proxy war with its major geopolitical adversary, ever. Actually, that's always been the case. So, okay, I want to get to somebody new that came up here on the stage. So what is up, Daughter of the Most High? No? No? Going once? No? Well, it looks like you tried to talk, but you may be glitching and you may not be able to speak. So, okay, we'll move on from that. Anyway, looks like there's somebody else that's requesting to come up here. Jordan. Okay. Get Jordan up here. Chief, you had your hand up a minute ago. Do you have something you wanted to say?
I just was going to give you a historical reference. Thomas Jefferson was dealing with the Barbary pirates. We were paying tribute, asked, why do you keep taking our ships and enslaving our sailors? Well, because you're infidels and our faith allows it. So we built a navy, and then we went to Tripoli and we crushed the Barbary pirates, and that ended that. So we just need to keep in mind that strength is, founding fathers realized that strength, when dealing with unreasonable people, is necessary.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously, the Barbary Pirates is the first example of us dealing with the Muslims that were, attacking shipping lanes. But I'm actually more interested. The biggest thing that I'm interested to see is how this new insurance thing plays out. I think that's going to be a much bigger deal than people are making it out to be if that actually becomes something that moves forward. Now, I heard the Lloyd's of London group is starting to reopen insurance again. But that's probably in a direct response to the fact that Trump said that he's going to start offering it. So, I think that they're probably in a bit of a panic about that. I noticed that this moment the Strait of Hormuz started showing ships moving through it again, that, suddenly oil dropped back down, immediately crashed back way, way, way back down from where it was at the highs. So we'll see. Henry, you came up here, buddy. What's up?
Hey, how we doing, Walt? Okay. Yeah, hey, I had a question earlier over the last 24 hours about with the spike in oil. Now it's starting to come down, and hopefully it stays down. But would that somehow shift and benefit in some way Venezuela and everything that's going on there in terms of, is that going to kind of create some new customer base, around that, around that? I'm wondering if anybody here has a take on that. Like, if the prices kind of are things going to like shift essentially? Are they going to pivot over, and are we going to get more business? And I wonder, hey, was that part of the thinking of why they did this? Like, hey, okay, if there's a risk, great, but if there is, we have this other kind of like ramping up production facility that keeps pumping out more. Trump was kind of touting that, but I haven't heard anybody like talk about that. I don't know if that was just something that
Well,
was.
so I'll give you a take on it because I actually know quite a bit about this. My older brother's owns an oil company in Texas. So the problem with Venezuela and their oil system is not necessarily that they have a lot of oil. It's that the idiot socialist morons that were in charge of it for so long completely let all of that degrade to the point that their infrastructure is so terrible that they can barely even refine oil. They can't even make good gasoline. Okay, that's how terrible their stuff is. And gasoline is one of the easiest things to refine. They can't even do that right now. So the infrastructure in Venezuela, we might be able to start seeing some crude come out of there, but it is going to be a while before the Venezuela infrastructure can actually produce a lot of oil easily. It's going to take a lot of money and a lot of people to go down there and actually get it up and running again. Now, the advantage is that if we take some of the people from Texas and say, okay, you can go get oil in Venezuela again, I guarantee you they'll be on their way down there. You just got to make it worth it for them. So maybe you're talking, maybe you're right. What now?
No, it's funny you said that because it's funny you mentioned that because I thought he or someone else in the administration said that there was it Texas or somewhere else in the South. Somebody help me out, guys. That he did mention something along those lines that, hey, the facilities in such and such, whatever. I thought it was Texas that are kind of ideally suited to deal with the kind of crude that's coming out of there currently.
Well, I mean,
I think they
here's
were
the
talking about
here's the
Exxon.
reality of this. Okay, so there is actually a ton of Venezuelans that fled Venezuela that ended up in the Permian Basin. And actually are part of the oil infrastructure there now because they essentially all of the people that were operating the oil infrastructure in Venezuela left Venezuela because the government was insane and killing them, and it just became a disaster zone. So even the low level managers of that actually ended up leaving and moving to the United States, and they work in the Permian Basin. So there was a ton of Venezuelans that know everything about the Venezuelan oil structure that just need to go down there. Now, the question is, you got to make it worth it for them because they've been here for a while at this point. And my guess is a lot of them already got citizenship. But at the same time, if they can go down there and make a ton of money, which you'll still make a ton of money if you work in the oil industry, doesn't matter where you work in it at. If you make it worth it for them, maybe you'll see a bunch of Venezuelans actually go back to their country and rebuild their infrastructure and actually become, again, Venezuela has the largest oil, proven oil reserves in the world. Like there is no one that has more. So if they go down there and start doing that, what now?
sorry, they're contracted with ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil is going to be going down there in a few days to.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, and
again,
who was initially one of the
Right.
oil folks out there. And people don't know this. If they do know this, cool. If they don't know this, but Delcy Rodriguez, who's the currently the head of Venezuela, appointed by President Trump, her family owns all the access to the oil in Venezuela.
oh, that's
So
interesting. I
that
didn't know that.
yes, yeah. They own the access to the refineries and all that stuff. And so basically, when Venezuela state took over made it state run, they had to comply or lose everything. So she obviously complied. Now, I'm not saying that she's like not a chauvinista, right? What I am saying is she loves money, and as long as her family's in the fold, she's playing ball. That's why she's in that position.
Well, I mean, the deal is that the amount of oil that they've got down there, someone's going to go after it, okay? I mean, someone's going to go after the oil, and now that it's us, I mean, there's a great video that came out in the middle of the Maduro thing, and it was probably one of the funniest videos I've ever seen, hands down. And it was one of the guys, it's just some random Venezuelan guy, okay? And a reporter asked him a question. What do you think about the United States coming down here to get your oil? And he looks right back at her and says, well, what did you think the Chinese and the Russians were here for? The recipe for arepas? Absolutely hysterical, legendary clip, just legendary clip. One of the funniest clips I've ever seen in my life. Like, I mean, arepas are pretty solid, to be honest with you. I mean, they are really good, but I don't think that's why the Russians and the Chinese were in Venezuela. Just a theory here. So, but that was just a great clip that came out. I mean, it's just obvious that we're down there to go after oil. Now, in the Middle East, this entire scenario has proven a couple of things. That one, that if China wants to screw around, that the United States it doesn't take a whole lot for the United States to shut down 50% of their oil flow. I'm actually really curious to see, now that oil is flowing again through the Strait of Hormuz, I'm actually really curious to see if Chinese tankers are going through or not. That's something I haven't been able to see yet. I'm going to have to look it up and find it. But if they have, that's going to be very interesting. So I'm very curious to see where that's at.
Well, quick question about that. When you say 50%, the number that I heard, I think, was just around 20% combined that they get from Iran and Venezuela, like recent history. Is that not true?
That's not so. No, what you're referring to is actually what they get from what's considered sanctioned barrels. So this is actually something. This is kind of in the weeds, but I'll explain it anyway. So we have a security assessment on China. Okay, and this was done by one of our NatSec groups a couple of years ago. I think it was in 2023, and that determined that essentially China buys 20% of its oil supply, so 1/5 of its oil supply comes from sanctioned barrels. Now, the reason that they do that is because they get a discount on the barrels that they buy when they buy it over U.S. sanctions. So they're getting a discount on all that oil. So the real play that I said was happening here at the very beginning of all this, when we even started going after Venezuela, I said this was going to happen, is what we're really doing is we're going after that oil supply so we can actually reduce the margin for the Chinese. Because part of the thing that makes the Chinese manufacturing so cheap is that they're using discounted barrels to do that. So what we're really doing at the end of this, especially if we don't keep the Strait of Hormuz closed for China, which I doubt we will, to be honest with you, what we're really doing is we're increasing the price on 20% of their oil by between 15 and 30%. That's the real economic play. So it's an economic nudge. It's not like this is going to shut down their entire economy, guys. That's not what's happening. Now, there was a possibility, my thought was for a little bit, that it's possible that what we were trying to do is actually shut down the Strait of Hormuz for 90 days just to starve China, because that would actually drain the reserves. I mean, they would have no oil left in their reserves if we did that, which would be a huge thing. But my guess is that would be an even bigger problem. So
do you think that would be too provocative, Walt? Like that's unnecessarily provocative, or do you think therere's some utility in that? I mean, obviously,
listen, it proves something that the Chinese have a vulnerability, and the deal is that the Chinese know that. But the question is if we actually intend to do that in the first place. I mean, I don't know if Trump intends to shut off the Chinese oil supply. I doubt it. Okay, I mean, the Chinese can still do all sorts of strange things to us economically that would not necessarily make it easy for us, especially when it comes to rare earth. So, I mean, there's a number of things that the Chinese can do in response, which, by the way, if you guys want to go see the Chinese response, by the way, if you want to go see what's really going on the economic front, go look at the price of silver. Okay, go and look at the price of silver and then take it out, zoom it all the way out, and then look at it the day that the tariffs were announced, which, by the way, if you guys didn't know, the initial tariff war that we started was entirely targeted at China. entirely. Everyone was, what on earth? Where is he getting this number? Where is this coming from? It was coming from exactly targeted onto all of the proxy states of China, were the one that had the multi-100% tariffs and shit, like the 99% tariffs and all that stuff. That was all on Chinese on Chinese proxy states, essentially. So what happened as a result of that, and you can see the war that we're in with China on rare earth and whatnot, is if you watch the price of silver from that day, from the day that the tariffs were announced, look at the price of silver. I've got an article talking about this on my Substack, by the way. You can go to wcdispatch.com and you can read it, but you can see it. I mean, the price of silver is now, 200x essentially. I mean, silver at one point recently was over $100 and it was 30 something dollars back when that started. So the reality is that China knows what their what their ability to control is, and that's rare earth. So they know what they're doing. But the question is, are we actually intending to shut off the oil to supply to China? I don't think so. I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to get rid of these sanctioned barrels, this discounted barrels, because that's what makes their production so cheap. That's what makes their economy so cheap, is they're running a lot of this stuff through these low-end, low-cost barrels. So if you remove that, then it increases the production cost on everything in China. Now, that doesn't put China out of business. They're still going to be able to do things cheaply because, they've got slave labor essentially. But at the same time, it's going to make things a little bit more difficult for them, which I think is what is really happening. I think it's just thinks this is an economic nudge. But that's a bit in the weeds, but I think that's what's really happening here.
Well, they're also flooding our streets with people like through the Neville Singham like group or whatever, all the Antifa and all that. They're flooding our streets with people that are trying to get us to kill people within our government, like ICE officers, etc. So I think what we're doing is we're going to shake things up a little bit in China and make them see that they're not going to do that to us while we can take away their resources that they hijack. We can take away the countries that they hijack, and we can take away the things that they hijack, and they won't be able to hijack us.
Well,
I think that's
well, I would love to say that I agree with you there, but unfortunately, the United States has yet to prove to me that we have any ability to deal with the NGO problem in this country. The NGO problem and the fraud problem that we have in this country is astronomical. And by the way, if there's anybody that pays any attention to anything I do, guys, if you follow me on my subscription version or if you follow me on Substack, you know that I focus a lot on fraud. Guys, the NGOs and the fraud is all connected. And if we can actually figure out how to shut these things down, the fact that we haven't taken the tax exempt status of some of these NGOs drives me insane. Okay, I don't understand how a 501c3 that is supposed to operate as a non-political entity can donate directly to political campaigns, essentially, and do actions that are directly related to political entities. I don't understand. I don't know why we don't deal with this. But my guess is that if they're trying to probably take it out all at once, they're not going to just go after one or two of them. They're probably going to try and figure out how to do it all at one time, because that's a better move. If you take out just the small ones, then they'll figure out a way to get around it. The bigger ones will. So my guess is that they're probably trying to do all of it all at the same time, which is pretty typical of Trump. So I don't know. We'll see what the next move on this is. But until we actually start seeing movement on us reclassifying and taking away the actual the NGOs funding structure and making sure they're not tax exempt, I'm not really going to say that we're doing anything about that yet, because you're right about Neville Singham. Neville Singham is a Chinese CCP agent, essentially. And he's even been charged in India. His company was removed from India for pumping Chinese propaganda. Okay, that's you can actually go read about that.
And not to mention also that, sorry, Walter, I didn't mean to cut you off, but also to mention that his wife is the founder of Code Pink.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, listen to me. This is what I'm talking about, Jacktron. So that's where I was going with this. I mean, Code Pink is funded by that, and it's Neville Singham, and Neville Singham is quite literally a CCP adjunct. I mean, that's all he is. And by the way, there's a whole other aspect of this, that the CCP, that Neville Singham and all that, they actually get their money. Their money is actually held by the Bank of Canada, which has its headquarters in Minnesota, Minneapolis, of all places. So that's another interesting caveat there for you guys. Jared, go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no, well, one of the other things that kind of flew under the radar that a lot of people didn't realize, and that's kind of played into some of what's happening here, is that there was also unsanctioned barrels of oil at a discounted, severely discounted price going from Venezuela to the UK and to Europe, some of our, quote, allies. And so that obviously didn't sit well with some of them. And so, but that's the case. And so when people talk about, the strategy that's taking place here, we're seeing this uncovering of just how shady some of these European, quote, allies, and of course Canada, have operated with no repercussion for many years.
Yep. Well, that's absolutely true. Okay, so let's go over here. Jared, you're up, man. What's up?
Hey guys, hey, what's up, Walter? Chris, Jordan. Hey everyone. So have you guys talked about um earlier today where Donald Trump was talking about who may have bombed the high school? Have you guys talked about that yet?
Yeah, I haven't talked about it yet, but I actually know quite a bit about this. So, the bombing of the school that they claim is the United States, that the New York Times in their brilliance has tried to tell everybody that the United States was the one that did this. Well, I have zero evidence that the United States did this. I mean, every single piece of evidence that I've seen actually shows that the Iranians are the ones that did that. In fact, you can go over and look at Matt Tardio, who's a friend of mine who actually talked about this at length earlier. He did a pretty good analysis showing that the rocket itself isn't even the same style of rocket that would be a Tomahawk missile. And then further than that, he also showed that the Iranians, he found another person talking about that same school, that same school itself was actually used as a place to make martyrs intentionally before this even started. So I think the evidence leans pretty heavily that the Iranians bombed their own school to make martyrs. And further than that, I think the real reality is that we don't miss. That's the other problem here that I have with this stupid story. When have we missed recently with our military technology, especially something as accurate as a Tomahawk missile? Guys, we fly these through windows, okay? Like we blow these things up in people's apartment buildings. Like we go into a single apartment and blow them up in that apartment room. Okay, the idea that we accidentally, with all of our technology, just forgot and hit a damn school. But by the way, this school itself is attached to an Iranian IRGC military facility, by the way, which is just brilliant by the Iranians. I mean, you got to love this stuff. But
Yeah, 100%, dude.
yeah, well, but again, my point is my point on this is specifically is that if you look at the evidence from it, there is zero evidence that the United States actually bombed the school. But go ahead, Jared. You can tell us how we do.
Yeah, so according to a few reports I read today, they're saying that it looks like it did, but I haven't posted this at all. I actually thought about it earlier today after I'm still on vacation here, but I swear I can't get off this app. It's really hard, Walter. I have to tell you, going on birthday vacation, and then I'm going to the Caribbeans tomorrow.
Nice.
And you cannot get off this. You cannot get off X. But I will say that the
You
people that
can.
are you can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Jared. Okay,
This
let's continue.
political nerd cannot. Absolutely. I have to know what's happening in the United
Be
States.
safe, man, in the Caribbean.
All right, guys, let him finish. I'm trying to hear what he has to say here. Go ahead, Jared.
But I will say I haven't posted any of this because it's like, I've been trying to confirm this reporting in DMs and stuff, but like most people are coming from this in a place of hatred, right? They just want to blame Israel or say that Israel had something to do with it. Now they're saying that Israel that the United States and Washington did it, but somehow Israel's covering up for what we did. So sometimes I think just not giving things like this attention, and we know what war is, right? There will always be casualties in war.
Yeah.
That is literally happens in war. There will be mistakes that the U.S. and Pete Hegseth and the Secretary of War say that we have done mistakes. That is going to happen. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts about that.
Yeah,
because
and
there
I
seems
agree.
to be
I agree
some
with you,
reporting.
Jared. Listen to me. I agree with you. The problem that I had with the reporting on it, so much like the same reports that I'm reading from these people claiming that every single drone that they launch, we shoot a $4 million missile at. This is the same problem I have with these people. Like, where are you getting your information that every single drone that goes up, a $4 million missile goes after it? Because it's just not true. Okay, it's just not true. These people that want to do this, they're trying anything they can desperately to make this sound like this is going badly. I don't think it's going badly. Okay, I mean, I don't think it's going badly at all. And this missile strike on this school came out so quickly, and you look into the reporting on it. The reporting comes from Iranian sources. I'm sorry, guys. I'm like, until the military actually releases the information from it, I'm just not going to believe just straight offhand that the Iranians didn't hit their own school. We know that they do this stuff. Okay, and the bigger part about it again is our targeting systems. Do you think we accidentally just hit a school? Really? Do you think our satellites didn't pick up the fact that there's entire groups of kids and stuff in these places? I don't believe it. Okay, so we will see what the future of this is. But from what I've seen from the people that actually know anything about our military, so like Matt Tardio is pretty damn good when it comes to military stuff, and he will call it out if we make a mistake. He's very fair and balanced on this stuff. I'm not going to lie. He actually is, and this guy that actually knows this stuff. Okay, and he's pretty much covered this to the point and said that no, it looks to me like they hit their own school intentionally to create martyrs. I'll take Tardio's word on it, and if he changes his mind, I'll listen to him. But I'm not going to believe the damn New York Times because they're the ones out here saying that the guy the terrorist in New York City yesterday was just throwing a jar of smoking, a jar that had
Walter,
fuses
I
attached to
actually
it.
have a there's an interesting detail that came out about this. So I don't know if you saw the statement from the terrorist lawyer. Did you see that?
No, I don't particularly care about the terrorist lawyer though, but I am
No, no,
curious.
no.
What
But
did
yeah,
he say?
this he said that the people there were multiple because as I'm sure you know that there were multiple guys throwing bombs. He said that none of them knew each other and they were not working together.
Oh,
Which I mean
okay.
the fact that he said that only makes it look worse. So you have multiple people who are out there throwing bombs just randomly. That just makes it instead of a coordinated attack, it just looks like
Well,
the
listen,
jungle.
the whole idea that he can claim that it was not coordinated when the two guys, one was holding one of them and the other one was lighting it. So what about they just met each other that day? Hey, you want to bomb this crowd with me? Like what? Like,
That's the idea. Like the message is to
the
show that
most
arousal
retarded
within.
thing I've ever heard in my life. I mean, just think, oh wait, who's that guy? Here, hold this bomb for me. Let me light the fuse. Like what? Or are you joking? Like what the hell is that? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But this is amazing stuff to me. Okay, hold on. I got to get over here to a new hand. What's up, Hot Rod? You came up here, join. Welcome to the show. This is the Political Theater.
Another thing to kind of back up what Tardo was saying is that Matt was saying is that the Tomahawk, if you look at any footage of any explosion from a Tomahawk missile, our explosives have more oxidizers in them, which it makes it burn more completely. So it does a complete blast. If you look at the one that hit the school, it's got a lot of black in it. That's unburned explosives. And if you don't have the right amount of oxidizer in it to actually utilize all of that, that's what you get. To me, that was a hallmark sign of a third country national weapon. That was not something from the US because we have our stuff scienced out to the very nth degree that gets every gram of explosive burnt completely and 110%.
Yeah, we have very effective missiles. That's 100% true. So I hadn't even seen that post from Tardio talking about that specific aspect of it. But yeah, that sounds true. Our missiles make sure we make sure we use all of our explosives when we hit something with our explosives.
Matt didn't mention it, but it's just something that I know from my 24 years of experience in the military. It's like
Yeah.
we have our explosives scienced out to the very nth degree. Trust me on that one.
Well, that I know. That I'm well aware of. All right, Jared, you got your hand up.
And the other thing though, Walter, is we're seeing this on social media and all this stuff about technology that's now being newly discovered where you can actually see using Wi-Fi people walk behind walls, and it's like, dude, do you think our military doesn't have that technology right now? So we have literal space force above Iran right now with the most powerful cameras in ever known to man and technology ever known to man, and it just they're not going to blow up a school full of kindergartners or elementary school girls, right? It's just ridiculous on its own face value, but it's expected that our media would put that out there because they just can't acknowledge that the Iranian regime is bad people and they have infiltrated this country with sleeper cells that happen to be in cities that have sanctuary protection. And the bottom line is, and then, by the way, this is the next talking point, Walter, just so we know when they pivot here, is that it's the Iran war that's causing these little domestic terrorists to throw homemade
Listen,
bombs.
I talked about this a minute ago. That's my favorite thing in the world. Okay. Like my favorite thing in the world is that we're going to say, well, we know that we've got sleeper cells here. Well, why exactly would that deter us from killing them? Like seriously. Oh, wait. We just found out that there's sleeper cells in the United States. So we should definitely be nice to the Iranians so they don't activate the sleeper cells that are here to kill us. Are you kidding me? Kill them all. I mean, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. This is what I was talking about earlier. This is the lack of testosterone in our country. It's unbelievable to me. I mean, just if you hear that someone that is, well, we can't attack them because if we do attack them, they're people that are here to kill us might kill us. What? Like, do you hear yourself? I mean, this is the open of the show.
That's like cowardice to me.
Well, listen to me. This is the problem I had earlier, and this is what the open of the show was. It was talking about the suicidal empathy of the liberals. These people are insane. Okay, you're nuts. Okay, what I think we should do, and this is an idea I gave out for many years at this point, is that we should just hand pistols out to every single American in a booth on every street corner, and you can just pick them up. I mean, they don't cost anything. They're fully loaded. Every American that is a citizen can have a pistol. You just walk up to it, make sure you prove you're a citizen. You can use to swipe your real ID, hand you a fully loaded pistol, and you're just allowed to keep that thing, because the way that this would work is that you do that for about a week, and all the problems that are caused by the idiots that want to shoot at each other in the streets, these gangland guys, they would all be dead in a week because everyone would shoot back at them. And then once you have that problem out of the way, then you have no more problem. Everyone else has got a gun, and everyone knows you've got a gun. So there's no longer people shooting at each other anymore because everyone's worried that they might get shot back at. I think that's a solution to these problems, and it's the same solution that you should have for every single state. But, we can't do that because, oh my goodness, God forbid we give everybody in the country a pistol. That would just end the planet. Okay, Jared, you can go ahead real quick.
Yep. So last thing here, we did get the first polling released this morning for a general election for the Texas Senate. So I'll just break it down here for you guys. So the public policy polling, newest Texas survey finds no meaningful difference in electability between Cornyn and Paxton, who are obviously still in the race. Cornyn, in this hypothetical poll, Cornyn trails Tallarico 44-43, and Paxton trails Tallarico 47-45. Let me say it again. Paxton trails Tallarico 47-45.
Yeah, listen, I'm not worried. That sounds to me like margin, so I don't care. I mean, anything in margin is meaningless
Jared,
to
quick
me.
question, quick question about that poll. Do you know who the PPP poll is?
I don't. I just know, Chris, that it was retweeted by the Austin Fox affiliate.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I'm sure. I don't care if it's Fox. I don't care what it is. The PPP polling is SEIU. The PPP polling is SEIU, AFSCME, and all the state government contractors. That's their call center. That's their polling company.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah, I mean,
well, listen, guys, I'm not worried about it. Okay, like polling on at this point in the race is meaningless anyway. I'm really not concerned about it. The only polling that I would pay any attention to right now, to be honest with you, is probably the poly market, because that's probably the only thing that I would be betting on. So that's the only one that's worth paying any attention to. If you're looking at long-term polling right now, I'm starting to believe. And I was very against this, to be honest with you. I was very against this. I did not think this was going to be true. When this first came out, I thought that these things were super manipulated. The political polling from Polymarket and Kalshi and all these things like that, these things have almost all been accurate, almost to the nth degree, on pretty much every single political race for the past several cycles. So to me, I'm starting to use those a whole lot more when it comes to early polling, to be able to tell you things. I mean, if you'd just followed early polling from Polymarket for, say the Virginia race, okay, Virginia had Spanberger winning, and the Polymarket had Spanberger winning in May by, a 90% margin or something, okay? So, I mean, if you just follow those things, they're pretty damn accurate because people are trying to make some money. And I just think that's the better way to go about it. But guys, we are running out of time here this evening, and I appreciate when it comes to the show. We will be back tomorrow night, Tuesday night, for more of the Political Theater. I appreciate everyone who comes to the show. Make sure you guys follow all my hosts up here. Make sure you guys follow Chris, Jordan, Jared, Jacktron. All these people have got great followings. Make sure you guys follow them and get good content. Make sure you guys subscribe to the people that you can subscribe to. We will be back tomorrow night for more of the Political Theater. I appreciate everyone who comes to the show. We will see you guys tomorrow night. Hopefully we've got, maybe we'll get to announce the next Ayatollah. Maybe he will be a cardboard cutout, or maybe he won't. If there is another flash of light throughout the night this evening, that means we have selected yet another Ayatollah. We don't know which Ayatollah we are currently on at this point. It's just getting too confusing. We just don't know. But guys, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Make sure you guys follow everyone up here on the stage. Make sure you guys subscribe to the content. If you guys are interested in what the WC Dispatch does, my outfit does, go to my page, go to my subscription model. That's where you can actually see some of the stuff that I'm working on behind the scenes, guys. And we'll talk to you guys here soon. Appreciate you guys. See you guys next time.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Some folks are born with a liberty spark. Their hearts beat red, white, and blue. When the anchors sneer and the cameras bark, they turn the lens right back at you. Truth bound, ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're not the party line sons, no, we ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're the vigilant ones, so Some folks inherit silk-lined halls, spend our sweat while preaching share. But when the tax man wraps his knuckles raw, their mansions suddenly look bare, impaired. Ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're not their banker-raised hares, no. Ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're the vigilant ones, so... Yeah, some paint stars on press room lies and send the common men to toil. Ask them, how much truth will you trade tonight? They mutter, more noise, more noise, more noise. Ain't for sale, ain't for sale. Not the theater's pawns, friend. It ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're America's steadfast ones. No, we won't be spun.